first spot at the offline finals in Toronto.
Yeah, the Queen of the North will be able to defend her throne. So that's actually really nice for her. She's got to feel good about that. So, unfortunately for Semper, he is going to have to fight his way up there. I do believe that he's capable of doing it for sure, but you always want to, minimize how much work you have to do before the actual live event, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you don't want to give away too much of your play style and builds. Although I'm sure everyone kind of knows how everyone plays for the most part. Uh, but, ladies and gentlemen, just because we have had quite a few delays, I think that we're going to just go straight into our next series without any further delays. But we do want to make sure that while you guys are waiting around listening to us talk about StarCraft, that you guys also be sure to check out our wonderful sponsors. Of course, our sponsors make all this possible. First of all, big thank you to Chairs for Gaming. If you use the promo code ESChamp, and you can actually go ahead and find your own DX Racer chair and get a little bit of a discount on your chair as well. Of course, also big thank you to Aces ROG. They provide all sorts of wonderful hardware for ESChamp. And of course, Kings of the North, making it very much possible. They have laptops, they have monitors, they have everything that you can imagine PC hardware related. And of course, Matcherino. If you type !Matcherino in the chat, you can use the promo code KOTN4 and add $1 to the tournament prize pool for the Matcherino. Of course, you can also contribute yourself if you so choose to. Be sure to go check that out and consider doing it.
Yeah, they are the ones that make it possible, and we do thank them for continuing to support such a tournament. And I do believe we're going to jump into our next series, so that will be between JonSnow and JimRising. It is a ZVZ, and as soon as we're going to get everybody in here to make sure that we can get on with it. So
I think we're just missing our observer right now. If we can get him into that chat channel once again, we can get him into the game.
Yep.
But yeah, our next series is going to be JonSnow versus JimRising. If Kwame, you want to go ahead and help him out with that while I talk about this series. So JonSnow versus JimRising is always a fun one. I actually feel as though JonSnow has paid off every single tournament organizer to just say, anytime JimRising's in a tournament, just match me up against him first round every single time. JimRising just has the absolute worst luck. This happens in so many tournaments. I feel like JonSnow is just kind of his nemesis right now. So I'm interested to see if JimRising can finally overcome JonSnow. Generally, JonSnow comes out the victor whenever they face off against each other. And JonSnow, I think, just a little bit more of a consistent, stable player versus JimRising, who can get some amazing results, but he's also been really, diverting some of his attention, trying to become this commentator for the Copa America streams, a lot of that Latin American scene stuff, as one of the premier Mexican commentators. And I'm interested to see where things are going to go as we get ready to hop into, I believe, game number 1.
Yep.
Speaking
of Mexico, my heart goes out to they had an earthquake.
Oh yeah.
Really pretty two within the past 2 weeks or so. So that's definitely pretty crappy. And hopefully, no one had any family members or anything that they had some problems down there, and mostly everything is okay, hopefully. But anytime there's a disaster like that, heart definitely goes out to them. So boy JimRising, apparently is all right. So
that's good to hear. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're hopping into our second series, our first mirror matchup of the day, as we are going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of Interloper.
Indeed.
Spawning up here, we have the red Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming. Put your hands together for JonSnow, Mr. Consistency.
All right, and in the bottom right-hand corner, repping himself as well as his country, Mexico, it is JimRising.
Okay, it's it's still really cool to actually see JimRising still competing in all these tournaments and everything. It's something I was a little bit afraid that he wasn't going to be doing as much of once we heard that he was doing all this Copa America casting and all these other things on his mind. But he's still been able to be a little bit competitive. He still is very active on the North American ladder, plays in my event called Ladder Heroes, which act as a qualifier for Kings of the North. And yeah, he's actually been able to compete pretty well in Kings of the North at the same time.
Exactly. I think just being at the caliber that he is too, it's like you have all these opportunities anyway, and I think this is the reason why he's up here. Being able to be one game away from that qualification. So I'm looking at the builds that they're doing, and it looks like JimRising is going for a gasless, even though he did go for the pool first.
Mm-hmm.
While JonSnow doing what you would typically expect, aside from the fact that he did go for a gas pool instead. So, I mean, you usually see hatch gas pool or gas pool hatch, even pool gas, pool.
Generally, just getting the hatchery before.
Yeah, that's basically all you need to know. Yeah, little intricacies.
Yeah, 100%. I think it goes to show that both of these players are really showing each other a lot of respect. Both players know that the other one is very capable.
Put some respect on it.
Oh my god. But when you go for the early pool, you're usually concerned. If you're not going for like a super early pool, you're not looking to be hyper aggressive. You can if you need to be, but you're usually doing it because you want to be a bit safe. You're concerned about your opponent throwing out some heavy aggression. So the fact that both these players doing it really goes to show you what their normal games tend to look like.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, we know JonSnow is no stranger to that aggression. But the thing about JimRising is that he ended up going for the gasless, right? So that was a very interesting opener from him. As you can already see, he's about to mine his first 100 gas, as opposed to JonSnow, who's already, approaching the next 100. Yep.
And the other thing is, JonSnow has been pooling up lings inside of his main base.
Wow.
And I think very shortly he's about to start swarming across the map.
Oh my, this is not going to have banelings with it. So this could be pretty scary for JimRising if he doesn't get a wall. And I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to try to just hold this.
He's going to try and defend this on the low ground. He's got Spinecrawler going up at the natural. Drones trying to be pulled over into the main base. And as you mentioned, no banelings. So it's going to have a hard time really busting through these queens very quickly. But JonSnow may just have overwhelming numbers here.
Oh my god. One of the queens goes down. The second queen goes down, and a good surface area on the third one. All of the lings of JimRising are getting taken out as well. And look at that. There's no queens in the main.
But army supply is still pretty similar for both of these players. Maybe with the drone pull, JimRising can still manage to hold over here. He's only down one worker, so if he can hold on over here, he's got the Spinecrawler to help out with the defense eventually on the low ground if he needs it. He's not really mining from that low ground, so his economy is definitely worse.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, the fact that he went for the gasless build means that he did have a few extra drones to spare. And hey, he's going to hold on, but he is going to be down by 5 drones. And guess what? He has a bunch of lings that are slow and has to make a decision. Does he actually go across the map with them or?
Oh, no, not without.
He's going to do it. Speed. He's just like, you know what? I got it. Because I mean, you have to do something with him. He's like, I got to do something. And it forces out lings, even if they're slow, they can get something done. But I just feel bad because they don't have wings and JonSnow's ones do. And it's kind of like, damn, I wish I sure had those because, it's always good to go faster.
You gotta go fast. The big problem is that when they are slow Zerglings, that means that they are committed. There's no running back across the map once you've done some damage. You can see JonSnow outnumbers them, and suddenly, as soon as JimRising starts to retreat, JonSnow just starts getting free pickings. He's going to continue to whittle away at this ling count because as long as JonSnow even has a couple ling advantage, he is going to kill off almost every single one of these lings cost efficiently.
Yeah, and he can always get better positioning with speed. JimRising is buying time for speed, but it's just not going to be quick enough. And he's going to lose every single one of those lings, man. Pretty big deal for JimRising, who invested so much into those.
And even gets Zergling speed at the last second, right after he lost most of his lings. That's a painful, painful loss. But, 20 army supply for both players. I'd say the difference is JonSnow has 9 banelings finishing up right now.
Yep.
And it's going to actually have a pretty scary looking direct engagement for us. Looks like JimRising actually finishing up his own. Oh, actually, no, sorry. It was just JimRising who was finishing out the banelings.
Oh, JonSnow did finish up his too. You were right. So he had a bunch that were up in his main. So he's ready for the defense. But he needs to split his banes. Oh my god. Not gonna do this, but look, that rock. The set of rocks are very low. JonSnow trying to take it down, but it's not going to be in time. Oh, no.
Banelings making their way in. Oh, JonSnow can actually go after those rocks. He's one hit away with that queen from knocking him down, and now suddenly JimRising can't escape, but JimRising wasn't looking to. He's looking to get some damage done. He does equalize the worker count actually almost gets an advantage there, but oh man, you can't really follow up the aggression anymore. The rocks have been
Nope.
knocked down, and JonSnow's held.
And he's getting ready to counterattack, but JonSnow might be a little bit salty that he broke those rocks now, but they still get there pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
JonSnow has a third, JimRising does not. And yeah, JonSnow, I think, is going to overwhelm here. Even with the Spine Crawler, it's going to be so hard.
Oh man, the Hail Mary Spire not going to finish. John takes game number 1 in this best of 3. Is now 1 game away from moving on to the Kings of the North offline finals. JonSnow, despite being one of the, I would say, standard names in the North American scene, has never actually made it or seen the offline Kings of the North finals. He's never been to one.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Like, not even in any of them, huh? And he's been pretty damn good, yeah, for a long time to at least maybe make one. But if things are going to continue to go the way that they are now, I don't see why he wouldn't be there.
Definitely
especially
pretty
this year.
Strong.
Yeah,
I feel like JimRising was probably the best matchup that JonSnow could have hoped for. Not necessarily because JimRising's a bad player or anything. It's just this seems to be like the matchup that JimRising keeps getting and keeps
it happens.
Being able to overcome.
Oh yeah, and I wonder like what his favorite matchup is. You know, I didn't get a chance to look at his BattleNet profile or anything, but it's one of those things where you're just like, damn, every time we see this guy in these matches, it's like a ZVZ. And it's just like, God damn.
Okay.
So,
well, we'll get ready to hop into game number 2. It's going to be on Abyssal Reef. Should be a fun one. This is definitely a map that also allows for some kind of aggression in the early game, as well as some kind of fun third base locations and everything that can happen.
Well, I like this map. We'll see how it goes. Is it going to be, game number 1 or game number 2? I'm up by 1. Let's go for a cheese. Or, does he feel like he has JimRising's number already, so he doesn't feel like he needs to go for something like that?
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about JonSnow is that he is capable of both. He's the low drone king because he's had this incredible experience as being this very aggressive player. He's also a very good player at just playing it safe. But looks like we might be seeing a little bit more aggression as we hop into the game and introduce the players.
All right, well, in the top left-hand corner, he is down by 1, and he needs to equalize it up. From Mexico, it is JimRising.
All right. Could we actually... Yeah, there we go. Got the game screen. I got JimRising over there, as Tempo already said. And in the bottom right, we have the red Zerg player. Give it up for Cyclone Gaming's JonSnow.
Man, so... 1-0. This is a macro opening for the most part, by the way. So even though it's an earlier pool, it is designed to take advantage of a hatch first. JimRising is not going to go for a hatch first, and luckily for him, it's not going to be the reason why he just loses the game straight up. I always see this kind of build transition into a very queen-heavy defense with the hatchery taken here. And you almost hope that the defending player is going to try to overcommit to a counterattack, and then they can't get by your queens. And sometimes even a spine crawler is going to be good too, but I don't know. I believe you should be able to drone back up if it's a hatch first. Now, remember, this is not a hatch first, Fear Dragon. This is a pool first without gas as well. So it's basically JonSnow's build, but better with more drones.
And I guess the kind of question here for JimRising is, does he decide to try and defend that hatchery, or does he actually... Okay, well, he's going to pull his drones. So this is going to be an attempt at defending, but he's also getting a spine crawler. 2 spine crawlers in his main base. Is he maybe over-respecting this right now, Tempo?
Maybe so, because the problem here is that he doesn't know if it's going to be a 13-12 or just a 12 pool until his overlord gets to that natural base. So equalizing there, he goes and he gets 3 kills. JonSnow.
Spine crawler finishes in the main. He doesn't cancel it.
Nope. So even, yeah, okay, so that's good. Yeah, it's even worse to have a spine crawler finish than to just lose the drone in the first place. Like, but he realizes what's going on. I think he was able to see the hatchery. Yep, he knows exactly that JonSnow was not committing to a 13-12.
But I feel like JonSnow walked away with a better end of this trade, right? Because he's not exactly down that many army supply.
Oh, he did for sure.
Like that many units. Yeah, he's got the little bit of a worker advantage. He got a faster natural expansion up. And JimRising, I think the only thing he really has to going in his favor is the fact that he's got a few more lings and he's got a spine crawler back at home for defensive purposes.
Yeah. Oh,
Whoa.
but JimRising going to be able to get one drone at least. He might be able to get a second one, but it is just going to survive.
Yeah. It actually does take a bit of a drone lead. JimRising continuing to drone up as well. So, hey, you know, maybe able to stabilize a little bit better. I am a bit worried because his gas geysers are much, much later on than JonSnow's, who's already started up Zergling speed, who's already got almost 200 gas bank ready to go up to a lair or something if he wants to super early. I still like JonSnow's position a bit better.
Oh, yeah. JimRising lost a few drones in the beginning, and it wasn't... He overreacted with the spine crawler. Luckily, he did cancel that second one. So we'll see where JonSnow goes from this because he ended up getting Zergling speed. Sometimes you'll see the player that opens up with this gasless style with the earlier pool, just go ahead and drop the Roach Warren and skip Zerglings completely. So with Zergling speed finishing in an Evo chamber, I'm wondering, does he go into Roaches now or is he getting like some weird upgraded ling timing?
Okay. He is going to go for the Roaches as he drops down the Roach Warren.
Makes sense.
Both of them actually dropping down those Roach Warrens, and both of them will have these Evo chambers ready and up to start researching some upgrades. But yeah, JimRising does still maintain a small little worker lead. Not for very long, and it's only a small one as JonSnow also plays a little bit of catch-up as larva injects kind of pop off for either side. But this does seem like the game's
catch-up or catch-up since he's the red Zerg.
Hopefully it doesn't bleed out like ketchup.
It is JimRising that's playing the catch-up though, so that's kind of... Yeah, either way, this is going to be really tough for JimRising to, I think, I don't think it's that tough. I mean, the road speed timing is easily defended against if you are like still getting your +1, I should say. And their +1s are pretty similarly timed. So, I mean, I don't think road speed is going to be the end all be all upgrade. That is going to make it so that JimRising loses the game. So, yeah, I honestly don't believe it's that bad for JimRising.
We'll see how he is able to transition this out. If it goes into a straight up macro game, JonSnow still has a pretty solid macro style, and I've seen JimRising also really impress me with that macro. So I feel like this really still is going to be a pretty close game as the game moves on. But
yeah, very brave queens, by the way, just picking overloads off everywhere.
Oh yeah. ZVZ is such a game of map vision also, right? And being able to catch your opponent out of position, especially on a map like Abyssal Reef where there's so many different attack paths.
Yeah. So the big difference here is that JimRising has that great map vision across the whole middle of the map. JonSnow knows all about the tech of JimRising. At least that Overseer was able to get some good scouting. Now, on the other side of things, JimRising has no idea what JonSnow is really going for, aside from seeing the Roach. Okay, he saw the Roach Warrior. Never mind. So, never mind. Tempo doesn't know what he's talking about.
It's all good. It looks like JonSnow actually has a bit of a roach advantage over here. Able to pick off a couple of JimRising's roaches. And with 56 army supply versus 38, can JonSnow with a +1 missile attack upgrade just finishing up right before JimRising's, can he actually make some magic happen?
Oh, the Roach Warrior might get sniped as well. I was talking about this being good to defend with. If you don't have road speed, then you shouldn't be on the map in the first place.
Oh no, this is going to make it so hard for JimRising to ever move out until he remakes that Roach Warren. And not only that, but it's also going to delay Roach production for a while because JimRising can't make any Roaches right now.
Nope. And he's only about a quarter of the way to making that second Roach Warren. He loses his road speed, so he's going to decide to go for Spire instead. Now, +1 is done for JimRising, and he's trying to thin out on those Roach numbers. Oh, a bit of a mishit there from JonSnow.
Walks into his own corrosive bile. Not exactly ideal, but knocks down the rocks. It's going to open up another little bit of area for him to move up the ramp and maybe go for the snipe off on this +2. That's a nice pick off.
Yeah, this is so scary for JimRising because he is ahead economically, but he's over here trying to make some units, but the only thing he can make are slow lings. He never got Zergling speed himself, and he doesn't have any spine crawlers to fall back to. And I mean, this is just numbers game. I think JonSnow actually has more here, even though JimRising is trying to get like a positioning advantage. What?
GG gets called. JonSnow takes game number 2, takes the series 2-0, and denies JimRising on the